Hey writers, I bet you have at least binge watched one of Shonda Rhimes' shows. That is because she's an amazing storyteller and a very skilled liar. And that is the topic of today's video.
Shonda Rhimes does not believe in diversity, that she is not bringing diversity to television. Instead, she's normalizing television. Her goal was to conquer the world through television, and she has done that. There is a Shondaland.
Shonda has a land, Shondaland, as it's called, and Shondaland is taking over the world through television, and that is an amazing achievement. But to be honest, completely honest, it makes me just a little bit envious because, you know what? There is no Joe Land. There's no Joe Land except in my own head. So I thought, if I am going to have a Joe Land, maybe I can take a page out of Shonda Rhimes' book, literally, and move my way towards a Joe Land in the near to distant future, because I want to take over the world through storytelling.
Shonda says losing yourself happens one no at a time. Shonda's daily writing routine is to go into the office and to write from 8 a.m. till noon. This was hard for me because 8 a.m. is prime get ready for school or get ready for summer care for my daughter. And so I had to modify this slightly. But what Shonda does is she sits down at her desk, which she keeps very clear, and she puts on a set of headphones.
Daily writing routine is putting on some music, usually a playlist. She has certain playlists for different projects she's working on, which I do as well. I was already doing this, so this is really great for me because that was something I did need to change. She starts writing from 8 in the morning till noon, and she puts on the music and she works on the project. If she gets stuck, she goes to the other project. So this is great because I've got two projects going on right now. I've got my NaNoWriMo, which is in halfway through writing mode, and then I've got my ghost story that I need to edit. And they're very different projects, just like Grey's Anatomy and Scandal are very different projects. So I am able to do this exactly like Shonda Rhimes, which is really just been really great to work on it that way. And she also reads all her dialogue out loud. Now, of course, Shonda is writing predominantly dialogue, writing for television, but she finds that this helps her find the dialogue that works in the mouth really well, because sometimes when we're writing, we write something that looks good on the page, but it's hard to say. And this is actually quite helpful for me because sometimes I just ignore punctuation. Being dyslexic, I don't always think about these things. I don't always think about the way that it works in the mouth. And it wasn't until my husband read some of my work and like, I'm out of breath reading this. And I'm like, how are you out of breath? You're reading it in your head. That doesn't make any sense to me. But because he uses the punctuation to tell him when to pause, when to stop, when to rest, when to breathe, he was actually feeling out of breath, even though he wasn't reading out loud. So if I read it out loud, then I'm going to get a little sense of whether or not my reader is going to get out of breath. So I really love this tip from Shonda.
Now, Shonda will not move on until she has a project perfect. She won't move on to the next thing, which is probably subject to being on TV or having television, because you need to finish that episode before you can go on to the next, because somebody's waiting on it to do pre-production and to memorize their lines. So this would be a really good practice to try and do, because I am writing real people and I want them to sound real. I want them to sound natural. And Shonda also says that a cliche is anything you've heard before, which I said in a previous video, but it bears repeating, even though it's now a cliche because you've heard it before. Because you always wonder, is it a cliche? Is this a cliche? Where have I heard this before? If you heard it before, it's a cliche. Just make it a rule and then think of a new way to say it.
Near the end of the book, Shonda talks about the hum. She talks about it all the way through, but she talks about the hum being behind a door. And this hum is the hum of writing. It's the hum of the story. I understand it in a way that I feel in my soul. When she talks about the hum that comes with writing, I don't know if you can hear this too, writer, if it speaks to you in the same way it speaks to me, but it is crazy how amazing and wonderful it is when you are in that groove, that space, that hum. And she talks about this hum being behind a door, and that door being 5 miles away from where you sit down to write. And you have to run through a whole lot of crap, a whole lot of YouTube videos and rabbit holes and falling down the pit of distraction and hoping that you climb out of it and you get to that door before you give up. She has found a way of building that muscle, of being able to run that race faster and get there quicker and get to that door, and it is in the practice of writing every single day.
One thing that I have also taken forward after writing like Shonda Rhimes is to write every day, not from 8 until 12, because again, that makes it quite difficult for my particular schedule. I'm a one-woman show, so I cannot take on the joy of just writing if I want to create this YouTube community and this YouTube world that I want to create. I can't do it, but I am going to write every single day. I started this week to get up half an hour earlier than normal so that I can sit down before get ready for school time and commit at least 20 minutes. If I can commit 20 minutes a week to write and do nothing else, taking a page from Gaiman in this one, I can write or I can sit and think, but I can't do anything else. I can't go on YouTube, I can't check my stats, I can't pick up my phone, I can't do anything else. I can only write. And that has been a huge game changer because it means I'm writing every day. Whereas sometimes when you've got other priorities and other things pressing on your time, at least for me, I find that I can't find the time to write every day. But if I do it first before I do anything else, it always gets done. And I'm making it a priority this year for myself, along with reading and writing and basically everything. But I'm getting it all done, which I love.
Like Shonda Rhimes in her Year of Yes, I decided I needed to shed a few kilos. This is just because I want to be in what my phone tells me is my optimum weight for my height, my weight, and my age. And I'm about 4 kilos over, so I want to lose those 4 kilos. But it is very hard to get me out of my house, which I've mentioned a lot. And I also noticed I wasn't reading a lot last year. You might have seen the video that I did that I said that I hadn't read any books. Here are all the books I didn't read in 2022, I said. Well, I am already ahead of the game because I got myself an Audible subscription, some headphones, and go for a walk and listen to The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. Highly recommend this book. You can grab the link below for a free copy of it if you would like. But let me tell you just some of my favorite bits.
Shonda says, every yes changes something in me.
To be honest, I actually didn't think the book, The Year of Yes, would have a great impact on me. I started to read it because I really enjoyed Shonda Rhimes' masterclass. I had binge watched all of Bridgerton, which I was never going to watch, but had to because I had binged watched all of Inventing Anna, loved it, and I needed more Shonda Rhimes, and Bridgerton was the only thing available. So I grabbed that, and then I watched her masterclass, and I'm like, I need more, and she mentioned her book of Yes, so I grabbed the book of Yes.
I just had to try writing like her because I needed more Shonda. I just needed more Shonda. She is very much a powerhouse of a female writer, and I will tell you about that as we go through this video, but there are going to be spoilers for the book. But even still, get it and get the Audible. You can get a free copy of the Audible book below if you don't have an Audible subscription, or it's 1 credit. Just grab the link below and you can grab that book, and I highly recommend it because Shonda reads it herself. And she is so dynamic, and there is so much honesty and genuine emotion connected with her story through her own voice that I can't imagine reading it any other way.
Now, to be honest, I actually didn't think the book, The Year of Yes, would have a great impact on me because I am not the kind of person who shies away from a challenge. I like a challenge, and I tend to say yes to everything that I need to say yes to in my life, and I'm pretty good at saying no when I don't want to do something. However, I was shocked to discover that Shonda Rhimes did have some things to teach me, and this book actually impacted me completely. And some of it is counterintuitive to my goals. One of my goals this year is to figure out what fun is, and I've made appointments with joy in order to discover that. This was from another masterclass, Lane Weltroth's masterclass. She quotes from her friend and the author of The Art of Gathering, Priya Paka. And between the two of them, they have taught me to make these appointments with joy. And my rules for the appointments with joy are slightly different than they have outlined in their books and their masterclass. So I'm going to share them with you here. What I have said is that I cannot work. I can do anything I want but work. I can't write. I can't edit videos. I can't record videos except to record B-roll of me walking or doing something that gives me joy, because I will eventually share this journey with you. My goal at the end of the year is to define what fun is for me. I have no definition of fun. This is a part of my body, my whole self, that I have neglected. If you can break your whole self into 8 parts, this is the part that I have just gone, no, that doesn't exist. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to know what fun is. And this year I said, you know what? I'm going to figure out what fun is. And I'm going to figure out what that means for me. And if at the end of the year I've gone, you know what it means for me? It means working. That's fine. But I'm not going to ignore it anymore. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't exist. I am going to work on it. And so how I'm going to work on it are these appointments with joy. And this is what they suggest. You meet with joy every week. You have an appointment. You show up on time. You don't cancel last minute. You dress for the occasion and you do whatever it is that joy is. So my rules are, I have to show up. I have to be there on time. I have to meet with joy 3 hours a week. Doesn't have to be the same 3 hours, but they have to be scheduled into my diary. So this past week, it was 2 1.5 hour blocks. But I can do half-hour blocks. I can do 15 minutes. I can do whatever I want, what works with my schedule, and I look at it at the beginning of the week. But I need to say yes to appointments with joy. And this is just been amazing. And one of my appointments with joy this week, I really wanted to walk and listen to The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, which I am doing on my walks. And that's just what I wanted to do. But I wanted to walk to get cake, because I figured if I walked to get cake, I could eat the cake and not feel guilty about it. But I couldn't find any cake at all. I mean, up the hills, no cake. And on this walk, Shonda just dropped some major truth bombs on me. One of the truth bombs that I've gotten from The Year of Yes is to say yes to play. Now, like I said, I'm a bit of a workaholic. I'm always on my computer. I'm always either writing, talking about writing to a video, editing a video about writing. I'm always working on it in some way. I obsess about it. I think about it all the time. When I have to go do my paying job, I'm thinking about it and I have to turn my brain off. And when I'm with my family, I'm thinking, I don't want to be with my family. I want to be working on my book or working on my video. And it's not healthy. It just isn't. And I know it's not healthy, but it's the way it's been. And what Shonda did was she said yes to a whole lot of things that scared her. And she was starting to enjoy them, and she was ready to go all dressed up and beautiful to go to some great big thing that she had said yes to. And her little girl came up and said, "Mommy, play." And she decided to say yes to play. And she committed to say yes to play every time her daughters ask her to play. And I decided I would make this commitment. Now, I haven't told Vienne because I feel like she'll abuse this if she finds out. But since I made the decision, every time my daughter comes up to me and says, "Mommy, play," I will play with her. Well, no matter what I'm doing, no matter what's going on, I will stop what I'm doing and I will play with her right away. Right away, unless I'm on my way to the toilet, and then I'll say, "Give me 2 minutes," and then yes, I will play with you. And that has been revolutionary. And you know what? I've been playing with her. I've been having fun with her, and I have found a better way to be, and I'm really excited about it. It's terrifying because I don't think I'm going to get everything I need to get done this year, but I have made that a priority.
Saying yes to play has helped me to stop working and spend time with my daughter. And that has been truly remarkable and game-changing for me, and is starting to teach me a little bit more about what fun and joy are. And I don't think I've got a definition for you yet, but I have until the end of the year to figure that out. That's the year's goal. But this part of the journey was amazing, and I love that as I'm learning about Shonda and writing and everything that I'm learning from her, I'm getting these little tidbits of life information that is helping me a lot with my mental health and my overall life balance. And I find it just lovely that everything seems to be interconnected. My husband is calling.
One of the other things Elaine says is that when you're starting out, so a lot of us, we haven't had a book published yet. We are growing our YouTube channel. If you're like me at all, and if you want to help me grow my YouTube channel, hit that like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But if you're in that same kind of boat, then you are just in the hustle. You're just working like I was, and just saying no to fun and saying no to everything else just because you know that if you're going to win at this, you're going to have to put in the hours. And one of the things that I've learned from both Elaine and Shonda is not that saying yes isn't saying yes to everything. Shonda calls this saying yes to no and knowing when to say no. Well, Elaine says, give herself the rule that she would only say yes to things that we're passionate about, things that made her feel excited beyond monetary value. So she would either say, oh, heck yes, or no, thank you. And that was great for me because I have been saying yes and yes and yes and yes and overwhelming myself to the point where I don't have time for my writing practice because I'm working on so much social media content. And the thing is, I am not loving Meta right now. The metaverse, specifically Instagram and Facebook, the way that it's gone is not, I'm not feeling it. It's not my jive anymore. And Twitter, I'm not seeing the love and the feedback that I see from you guys here on YouTube. So I have made a decision, and I gotta tell you, this decision was so hard for me. I was in agony because I thought you should all over yourself. Everybody says Instagram, you have to be on Instagram, But you know what? I don't like it. So I'm not leaving Instagram. I'm not going to turn off my Facebook account. I will still be active in my Facebook groups, and I'll still be chatting with people using Messenger. But I am not going to force myself to have 2 to 3 posts every day. It's just not great. I'm going to be putting all my attention into my community tab here to share with you what's going on and to talk to you. And if there's something that I feel like, hey, you know what, I'll share this with the metaverse, or I'll share this with Twitter, then I'll pop it over there and probably in a schedule. But I'm not going to spend my time there. I'm going to spend my time here on YouTube with you because you guys, you writers, my community here that we're building together on YouTube, we might be a small community, but we're a growing community, and the support and love I get from you guys is great. Just like when you hit that like and subscribe button, it's just, if you haven't done it, I know I've asked twice, but it really helps me out a lot. It's going to help me hit my goals this year, even when I'm going to be saying yes more to my family and more to fun and more to joy. I walked up into town to get cake, and I promise you there was none. There was no cake to be had. And so I decided, rather than having something that was kind of like it, I would just not have it at all. And this was something Shonda said that she implemented when she was trying to lose weight, was that she would allow herself to eat whatever she wanted. If she wanted cake, she'd have cake. Not too much cake, but she would have cake. But she had to eat exactly what she felt like. If she didn't feel like cake, then she wasn't allowed to have something else. And that was revolutionary for me. So I just kept walking back without getting cake. And while I was walking, Shonda said something. Now I was listening to her, loving it. I didn't have my headphones with me, so all of the town was listening to Shonda Rhimes with me. As I was listening, I was feeling envious. She's got a land, there's a Shonda land, there's no Joe land, and that sucks, and life sucks. And then she said something, and a light went on, and it was like, changed my life. And I hope it never goes off again, because this just changed everything for me. And what she says is, you know what happens when you get everything you dreamed about, when you get everything you've ever wanted? Absolutely nothing. Nothing happens. It is not a shortcut to working on yourself. And so every time I feel bad that I am the age I am, living where I am, hustling and trying to make it, trying to connect with people here on YouTube, trying to get my book published, trying, getting close, and then not achieving it and feeling like, oh, golly, one more time, one more rejection from a big publisher, one more rejection from a agent, one more video doesn't go viral, one more. And I pick myself up and I do it again and I feel like, oh, when is it my turn? I realized that when it happens for me, when it happens for you, dear writer, when it happens for us, because we've done the work on ourselves, because we've made appointments with joy, because we've said yes to things that make us say, oh, heck yes, because we say yes to play, because we work on our mental health, and because we are putting in the effort, when we are there, when there is a Joland, when there is a land named after you, when there is a land named after you, you will be able to appreciate it. We will be able to appreciate it because we've done the work now, as opposed to getting it and standing there and realizing that all of our dreams have come true. And we don't know how to enjoy it.
Shonda Rhimes says that whether it's Grays or Scandal, the theme of her writing is you are not alone. The theme of my writing, whether it's this contemporary romance that I am writing, or whether it's the ghost story that I wrote, or whether it's the Thing of the Stuff, which is my comedy fantasy, the theme is finding yourself, self-acceptance, self-love, identity, being true to who you are. And I want to encourage you to stop and think about your writing, and whatever genre or type of writing you do, what is your love letter to your audience? What's your love letter to your reader? I feel like Year of Yes was a love letter from Shonda Rhimes to me personally, which I know isn't the case because she doesn't know who I am, but don't tell me otherwise, all right? Like she says at the beginning of the Year of Yes, if Beyonce's life isn't perfect, don't tell her otherwise. Well, I'm going to tell you two truths. One, Year of Yes is a love letter to me. Don't tell me otherwise. I had a really good day yesterday. I recorded this video along with 3 others, along with some shorts, and created some great content. Today was not a good day. Today, I was going to edit these videos, and I got one done. And that was it. And I looked at my watch and saw that I was 2,000 steps away from my goal for today, and I hadn't read it all. So, after I put the kid to bed, I decided to come out and listen to Shonda and go for a walk. I was feeling pretty down and very much alone. And then Shonda's speech, which is nearing the end of her book, You Are Not Alone. She spoke at a gala where she was accepting an award. Can't remember which one. It doesn't really matter. Read the book and get the link below. She tells how she was writing before she could spell. I was writing before I could read. To her, that was 3 years old. For me, that was 10. I was the only dyslexic kid in year 5 who couldn't read. So I was the only kid in year 5 that couldn't read. And then I decided to write myself a magazine one summer. And I taught myself to read by writing, interviewing my aunts and asking Mom how to spell remember at the table, which I still remember writing a few years ago now. Shonda gave a speech saying, you are not alone. I'm not. And maybe I don't have a land named after me, but I have a land in my head and have had one since before I could read. And my dream is that one day my stories and your stories will be out there and more people will be seen. Because while Shonda
does create normacy in the world of television, showing people that exist in the world but seem to be forgotten on television. I still don't see myself, not even in Shondaland. And so I'm just going to have to write that story. I'm just going to have to write it. I've written it several times. And maybe by writing like Shonda and learning from Shonda, one day there will be a Joe Land, and some kid out there who can't read and feels stupid because they're dyslexic will see themselves in the story I wrote and not feel as alone.
Shonda Rhimes loves to talk about her ride or dies. I do not want to hear that is pronounced R-I-D-E, or die. I will only accept that it is write or die, because I got my ride or dies and I love them to bits. Don't correct me in the comments.
I just walked for 2 kilometers so I could hear more of Shonda Rhimes' amazing book, The Book of Yes. I love it so much. But what she said in this last one, it just made me feel like not only was I not alone, but that I was okay. And it was just that she said she had these friends, and she realized that she had invented them, that she had made up their characters and filled in the blanks, and she didn't even know she knew who they were, this quote-unquote fictional names of Pam and Ken. And I realized I've had Pams and Kens in my life, and I have made them up, and I'm beating myself up when the friendships go away. I've done these people a disservice, but at the same time I had this beautiful relationship with somebody, even if it was a fictional character, and they were Pam and Ken were just avatars for the person I hoped they'd be. And I take her challenge of only having true friendships, not making up stories, but having wonderful, what she calls ride or die. I'm going to call write and die, write or die. Or maybe I'll call kindred spirits for a Man of Green Gables. But the truth is that I have some really fantastic people in my life, and I'm going to let them be themselves and let them be the people that they have written and not the people I've written. And this has just been such a freeing evening walk for me. And I am so grateful for Shonda Rhimes.
If you want to write like other famous authors, check out this playlist here where I write like Margaret Atwood, Stephen King, David Lynch,